Hey brothers, this is Justin with Masonic Improvement. In this video I want to talk about 5 actions that any brother can do to improve himself and improve his lodge. Before I get started, I have 2 quick things I want to cover. First of all, I have my book recommendation for this video. That is Mansfield's Book of Manly Men. It is by Stephen Mansfield, and it is fairly thick, but it's a pretty good read. It reads really well. In fact, even though it is a lengthy book, when I read it, it felt short. So the content is good. That's how you know it's a good book, is that even though you have pretty good volume to it, it just flies by so fast as you're reading it. You know, it's just one page after another. You keep telling yourself you're going to read the next, just one more page, and then before you know it, you just one more page, one more page, one more page. The one thing I will say about this, for brothers that care about things like that, is that this is a pretty Christian-oriented book. It's not so much that it takes away from the value of the book. Any man can, or any brother Mason can take the book and appreciate it. At least my belief. That's my belief. But if the idea of reading something that's Christian-oriented totally turns you off, then I don't recommend this for you. But any other brother, Mansfield's Book of Manly Men is terrific. Check it out. I also want to talk very briefly about my my merch that I recently came out with. If you have not seen this yet, I encourage you to head on over to bonfire.com/Masonic Improvement and check it out. If the idea of Masonic Improvement merchandise appeals to you at all, I tried to keep the price pretty reasonable, and I'm just testing the waters here. I feel as though there's probably an interest for these kind of things, and so I made a pretty basic shirt. The thing about this is I have to sell 5 or more, and I haven't really pushed it hard until this video and the one I just made. So I've only sold 3 and I have 6 days left. I have to sell 5 or more for them to actually, for the campaign to be successful, and then they'll start shipping on April 12th. If not, then it's fine. If there's not interest, there's just not interest. But that being said, if there's any suggestions that brothers have, something that they prefer to see, something I could add to the shirt, any kind of tweaks that might be more appealing, I'm open to that kind of thing. I'm not a marketer. I'm just trying to provide content and now merchandise that I feel my brothers may be interested in. So I'm going to talk about 5 actions today, like I said. I actually have 10 actions, and I think they're all worthwhile. What I'm probably going to do, just to keep the video bite-sized, because I know my brothers don't like them. I know my viewers don't like my videos too lengthy. At least that's what the statistics show me. I'm going to try to keep it 4 or 5 minutes. So fingers crossed, we'll see how this works. Cover 5 today, then I'll cover 5 in the next video. So the 5 actions. The first action is just learning how to walk in one another's shoes. And this is hard. We as men and as Masons, we have to learn to put ourselves in one another's positions, how to look with other perspectives than our own. You know, like I said, as men, this is a skill we can use every day in our lives. As Masons, particularly Masons that are trying to raise that bar, trying to improve their lodge, that's where it really becomes important. We have, you know, older brethren that we should respect, that, you know, teach us so much, and for many decades very likely kept the lodge alive when no one else was joining. We need to understand where they're coming from when we're trying to suggest new things, introduce new ideas, create programs. We need to understand their perspective. The next action is work together. And it sounds so basic, but you see this so often. You see lodges with cliques. You see brothers that don't want to cooperate with one another. And we should all have one goal, trying to make one another better men. If we are not working together, if you have a lodge with cliques, that's a huge issue. That's a lodge killer. Professionally and just, you know, daily lives as men, again, it's obvious how important this is. As family, friends, we got to be able to work together. And if you can't, then it's going to impact you professionally. It's going to impact your family. It's going to impact your relationships with your friends. Learn to get along with one another, brother. The third action is just show up. Be present. From a family perspective, it's very important. You know, if you're trying to spend time with your wife, with your kids, you have to show up mentally, not just physically. You have to be there mentally. But unfortunately, in today's world, yeah, you have to be there physically too. And I didn't even cover that first because at first I was like, that's so obvious. You know, you have to be there physically. Unfortunately, in today's world, often men are not even there physically. Be there physically, be there mentally with your family. As far as your lodge goes, that same thing applies. Be there physically. That's very important. But it's also just as important. Be there mentally. Don't just sit there and check out because you're not going to benefit from anything that's being learned. Be there physically and mentally in everything you do as you go throughout your life. Action number 4, just suspend self-interest. Don't just look out for yourselves. That's not a Masonic thing to do. That's not a manly thing to do. It ties back into walking in other people's shoes, I feel. But don't just push for programs. Don't just push for ideas, you know, at work, in the household, in the lodge, that really only serve what you want. There's other people in the organization. There's other people in your family. There's other people at the lodge. And we all come from different backgrounds. We all have different interests. Now, as far as the lodge goes, ideally, you'd all be fairly like-minded. But even then, we still come from different backgrounds. And so suspend your different interest. So suspend your self-interest and understand that other people have things that they want as well out of the things they go through in life, out of the organizations they're involved in, and take that into account when you make decisions and when you try to push for ideas. And the fifth one is be adaptable. You have to be able to customize things to your unique situation in life, and as well as your lodge. So, for example, I suggest a lot of ideas on my channel. I suggest a lot of ideas on my blog, and I've said several times, you know, one size does not fit all. These are the ideal standards in my mind, but just because I feel this is what is ideal, we're talking about like a ideal situation. That doesn't mean, and no lodge is an ideal situation. No lodge is ideal. No lodge is perfect. You have to take ideas. If you think, you know, raising the dues is a really great idea, well, obviously you can't just throw it up, you know, and say, well, we're going to be $1,000 from now on per year. Or you can't just look at someone suggesting something about dress codes and say, hey, from now on, everybody's going to wear a tuxedo when they come to lodge. Most lodges, that won't work. Most lodges, you can't just say, hey, we're going to raise dues to $1,000. You have to tailor ideas for your unique situation. So that's all 5. We're going to leave it at that. As I said, I wanted to keep this video relatively bite-sized. That way you can get the content without, you know, staring at me for too long. If any of these are particularly interesting to you, I will be glad to elaborate on them in another video. Otherwise, my next video, I'm going to cover the next 5 actions, and we'll go from there. So that's all I got. Like I said, I'll see you in the next video. Take care, brothers.